We're back to the Neil Haley Show here on the Media Giant Effect as well. And I'm excited to welcome my co-host, Kim Sorrell, author of Love Is. Kim, how are you? I know you're excited about our guest. And, I've interviewed him before, but now this project's such an important thing to discuss today. So, Kim, I know you're excited to introduce our guest for us.
I am excited, Neil. Great to see you. And Harry, welcome to the show and so great to see you. Of course, you are so well known from so many movies and TV and the Blacklist and things that people have loved. And you were born in the same city my dad was. That is just a couple hours away from me, Chicago. Great city. Thanks. And what a great project this was. So can you tell a little bit about the premise of the movie?
Yes, I'd be delighted to tell you. First of all, it's great to be on your show. Thanks for having me, Kim and Neil. This is terrific. Glad we get a chance to talk more or less face to face. But I'm pleased to tell you about a movie that I'm in, which is called Nothing Is Impossible, and it's more or less is as it is advertised. It's about bringing an uplifting word that with a little bit of faith. Actually, Jesus once told us with the faith the size of a mustard seed, we could move mountains. He also told us, his disciples, that it is easier for a rich man or for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to get into heaven. And his disciples wondered how that could be. And he said, well, with man, it is impossible, but with God, nothing is impossible, or all things are possible. And that's really what the movie is about. It may look like things are not going to be easy. We may have been confronted with frustrations. In this case, we've got a basketball player who was once a star in high school, and now he's gone on to become a janitor at that very high school where he was once a headliner. But he gets a second chance. And I think really what the message of the movie is that through this little parable about a basketball player and a basketball team trying to reestablish itself as a contender, that sometimes God takes what could have been seen as a frustration, as a failure even, and can turn that into a great success with far more meaning than might otherwise be apparent on first view. So that's what we're involved in this film.
Harry, are you a basketball fan, by the way? Are you?
I was watching last night. As the Los Angeles Lakers went down to the Minnesota Timberwolves. So yes, I root for a bunch of teams. I root for college, but I also watch a lot of the NBA.
Yeah, I'm a college Pitt fan. Pitt's not done well for a while. And NBA, I like the Nuggets and Cavaliers, but it was at different times. And LeBron was with the Cavs. We're back in the days of Mark Price and Brad Daugherty and all that. So I'm a huge fan. Just again, busy as can be to watch sports as much when we get our projects together. So tell us about the premise of your character. Tell us about your character. Yeah.
So I play Coach Russell Banks. He's a little bit jaded. He doesn't want to go through this open tryout. That's what's happening, is that the Knights have been forced really to expand their talent pool. They want to look locally. So they host open tryouts. And I'm a guy that's been in the league a while. And this to me just seems like a stunt. But I kind of compare my character to the Roman centurion, at the cross, at the temple, when he says, surely this man is the Son of God, when the veil on the temple is rent, and he becomes a believer, in spite of the fact that he didn't think that there was anything to this. He too, I think, in seeing this man struggle for the second chance, this other opportunity to redeem his life, I think that by witnessing someone who does that successfully, that anyone can become a believer, and that's who that's who Coach Russell Banks is.
Practicing skills in basketball. Catch
That's right.
That's right. A little some sort of little net just passed by. I think I got it though.
It happens. So yeah, I love the character. I coached basketball for years and volleyball for years, and I know what a different relationship it is to be a coach compared to a teacher, compared to a parent, compared to any other thing. Like a coach is a mentor, such a deeper relationship. How did that work in for you in this movie?
Well, I never really coached as much as I was, however, a teacher. and I've coached actors and so forth. I've directed plays. All of them kind of have a commonality of modeling, in place. That is to say, a good coach is somebody who knows the rules of the game, who's played the game, that can navigate and help others navigate their way through the obstacles and the challenges that will come up in the game. And because they keep their composure, because they're able to think through situations that are difficult, they can help other people. I find the same thing is true for being a teacher. I remember I taught music for on and off for 8 years in the Chicago public school system. And I learned a great deal. I learned as much from my students, I think, as they learned from me. I think it's that exchange of ideas that distinguishes we humans, from other life forms. There are very many intelligent animals around the planet. God was very judicious in how he doled out that intelligence. But if you think about something like an octopus, they have 8 different brains, I think. Each one of their tentacles have it, but they aren't able to pass on information from one generation to the next. They become senescent as soon as they become, able to produce offspring and so forth. But that said, humans are, and we have the ability to teach each other, to exchange information with each other, to lay down these plans. It was in God's design and will that we were able to do this, whether it's through nature or nurture. We have that combined thing. And I think that inspiration is really contagious. I think it can be passed on from one person to another. It's not just viruses that can do that. It's actually the virus of the human spirit has the ability to go on in spite of the fact that it may end in a kind of terminus for one of us. We have as a species, as a creation, the ability to pass on this story of love and light to each other. So that's the great thing about being able to do movies like this.
And it's interesting when you talk about teacher. I was a teacher for 9 years as well, Harry. So I understand exactly the process of what relationship you can develop from your students, because you're with them in the grind every day. It's almost the same thing as coaching, in my opinion, because I've done both. And I didn't do as much coaching of sports as I got the opportunity to teach. And when you're teaching somebody, they really build even more trust, and they tell things more than ultimately even they tell their parents. Isn't that true? And so that's the process of a coach, is really to get to hear a lot more that what's happening in that student's life than anything else.
I quite agree. I think probably on the whole, unless people are homeschooled, you're going to spend a lot more time with your teachers than you do in conversation with your parents and other family members. I think, I don't know what the statistics are now, but on average, it can't be more than a few minutes that people spend the time. Even now, you go to out to dinner at a restaurant, you'll see 2 people in conversation, but everybody's on their cell phone. That happens a lot in homes and so forth. So in any event, I think in terms of the constant contact, time on task, time in front of people, those people who teach us in school or those people we work with on a daily basis, we spend a great deal of time with those people, and a lot of messaging, a lot of information, a lot of knowledge about who each other are. That becomes almost unavoidable. And so I find that, again, I go to the modeling idea that's really what coaches, teachers, and colleagues really become.
Yeah, it's so interesting, right? Everything that you're saying is so fascinating and so true. And so in this movie, but not just in this movie, but in acting in general, everybody's an influence on everybody, right? So there are only so many Christians, and Hollywood's not necessarily known for tons and tons of Christians, right? How did that play into your life, like with everything you've done?
You bring up a very interesting thing I like to talk about, Kim, in this regard. If you think about the spread of Christianity itself, it would have been impossible, really, without the Roman road system, the system that the Roman army, basically, the military of Rome put together to subjugate its conquered lands and the people who occupied those lands. It was the very engineering of that made the spreading of the gospel possible. So that which the enemy has used for our opposition and for our challenge and struggle, God is able to repurpose that. And I think that that's true of Hollywood as a whole, that these machines, it's called what is it called? The Academy of Motion Pictures Arts and Sciences. You know, it's a highly technical and developed machine. It's over 100 years old. It's extraordinarily successful at being secular, at passing on, making itself into a God myth-making industry. You know, creates heroes all the time. It propagates all these messages, which we find sometimes antithetical to the spreading of the gospel. But even these machines, even this industry, is able to be used to put out messages like we do, and nothing is impossible. And I take great encouragement from that. And so you know, that's something that God teaches us all the time, is that which the enemy meant for our undoing, he is able uniquely to use for our upliftment.
So nothing is impossible is the way that the theme, and you hope everyone that comes and watches this learns that, right? That nothing is impossible. It really,
that's right. That's right. And it's small little footprint of a way, you know, that, you know, but we need these messages, these kind of palate cleansers. I do a TV show which I enjoy and I'm very grateful for. But, you know, it deals with things that are a little more cynical, a lot of criminals and so forth. But this is just regular people getting by in life. And we take this small little narrative feature and are able to show that even in our daily lives, in a quotidian bread and butter kind of situation, that great lessons and messages can be learned. That if we're able to just see our way to giving it a chance, we could be greatly, greatly inspired.
I love that. I love how you are able to look at life that way, look at Hollywood that way, look at everything that way, that there are so many things that we're so challenged with that it seems like everything's against us, but really God can turn anything around and turn it into something positive and something good and
right.
work for you instead of against you.
What does it say, Kim? It says, the Bible says this wonderful thing. I'm trying to remember exactly. For if God be for us, who can be against us?
Right.
Right? I love that.
To have those inspiring messages and all those different things. What do you feel, you know, for your career, what do you want to be most remembered by? What would you say, Harry, like in your career?
Yes, I think that, you know, I always go back and I don't think it could be put any better than the way our Lord put certain ideas, concepts. It says that by our love, they will know that you are my followers. We used to say in my church, they'll know that we are Christians by our love. And I think that we should never forget that love is not some result that is arrived at. It is not some permanent condition of being, that it is actually an action word, to love. It is something that is in order for us to do. How do we love? Well, we care, we show. God told us that there are three great things. Well, actually it was Paul who wrote, there's faith, hope, and love, and the greatest of these is love. And that is a constant effort that we have to do to show that we care, to extend our charity, our caring, our giving, our action, our deed. And so it is in my deeds that I hope that, you know, of course we know that faith without works is dead. We also know that we can do nothing that would really equal the glory of God, but that we must continue to strive to show our love for each other. And that's how people will know. That is the proof, that is the evidence of what we believe is the gift of God himself.
And Kim has a question to add about love, and she wrote a book all about, and it's called Love Is. So go ahead, Kim. It's perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, and Harry, I'm hoping to send you a copy of it, actually.
Oh, great.
Because we are kindred spirits, brother. And so I dedicated a year to really search for the true meaning of love. And I used 1 Corinthians 13, love is patient, love is kind, does not envy, does not boast, etc. Right? And I took one word a month and really worked on it. What is love that is patient? What is love that is kind? Because John says that God is love. So love isn't an emotion like fear or excitement. Love is living and breathing, and like just as you've described it, right? It is so much more than just something you feel, but it's something you do. It's something you are, something you live. And so anyway, I want to know how does that translate to you? How does that translate in your life?
Well, I think it's, I like to think that the way that we can show that we love something is when it is not comfortable or convenient. Being kind when we are tired. I remember that wonderful story in the Bible where the young kids, they want to play with Jesus and the disciples are shooing them away. And he says, no, suffer the little ones to come unto me. It's when it's not easy that it is provable that it is love. It is the fact that we have sinned and God has given us another chance that allows us to live by that creed that it says in the Bible. Forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And this is challenges. It is because it is difficult. John Kennedy put it very beautifully in his inauguration address. We do these things because they are difficult. God has empowered us with the ability to overcome our fear, our tiredness, our boredom, our anger, our self-loathing sometimes, our self-love sometimes. That if we could just continue to live by the example of the one he sent in the flesh as the embodiment of these principles, that it is because it is difficult, it is because it is challenging, that we're able to aspire to God himself. That it, of course, to God, everything is easy, but he does not take the easy way out. He loves us in spite of these. And when he has reasons not to, when he has reasons to give up on us, and it's because he does not, that we cannot give up on ourselves. And so I think that's really how it makes itself manifest to me. I'm going through the same struggles in life. I've got friends who are facing their final days in their ways. And it's not always easy to be able to speak wisdom and to speak comfort in spite of these very frightening things, but it is because we have been shown and been given this opportunity that we know that we can provide these words of encouragement to other people. It is that line that somebody just reminded me not a few minutes ago, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. And I think that that's what I have to continue to challenge myself to do all of the time. And so I'm grateful for movies like Nothing is Impossible. I'm grateful for opportunities like this where I get to speak, Kim, to you, wrote a book on love, to talk to Neil, who was a teacher and a coach and is living by their example.
Yeah, and former pro wrestler, by the way, too. Professional wrestler, too. So I the acting thing in pro wrestling, yeah. So where can people, the film is available now on PureFlix? When is it available?
It is now available on PureFlix. I think it came out last week. I'm almost positive now. Mm-hmm. So it's PureFlix. I can't think of the web address off the top of my head.
I think anyone can search PureFlix and find it. It's a pretty easy brand to find. And if we follow you on social media, where can people check out all your projects and stuff? Where's the best place?
Yes, so I'm at Harry Lennix, Lennix, at Harry Lennix on Twitter and Instagram. I'm pretty sure. I'm no expert, but I do have those profiles out there. I'm also working on a project in Chicago, which is building a museum for the performing arts. It's called African American Museum for the Performing Arts, or AMPA museum.org, ampamuseum.org. So you can find out about what all is going on with me in my life on those platforms.
I'm gonna definitely check it out, and anytime I'd love to have you on, Harry, to talk about, promote that. What's going on there. So definitely we'll connect again. Okay. All right. I appreciate it. And Kim, you go KimSorrell.com, right, Kim, for information.
KimSorrell.com or loveis.info, whichever is easier.
I
Right.
appreciate you guys. All right. You're watching and listening to the Neil Haley Show, and we'll be back in just a moment.